Hey, welcome to the Mile High RC Garage. Today we're going to be talking about one of the critical components of RC car bashing, and that's having an RC car jump ramp. If you've watched this channel, you know that we love to send cars, we love to jump cars, we love to do backflips, front flips, doubles, even triples if we are feeling risky. And it's just a great part of bashing, and every basher should have one. If you're lucky enough to have terrain that allows you to send your car through natural jumps and hills and dirt mounds and whatever, great. But that's not always the case, and when you're starting out jumping, it's good to have a consistent launch as well. So having your own pre-built RC car ramp is always nice. So we're gonna get stuck in on some of the basics of what an RC car ramp should be, how you should build it, what are the key components, the shape, etc. So let's get stuck in on RC car ramps. When considering an RC car ramp, I think there are 4 key criteria that you want to think about, and unfortunately some of those criteria clash with each other. There's cost, there's size, portability, and durability. So let's start with criteria 1, which is cost. Now I think everyone can agree you don't want to spend more on your jump ramp than you do your car. But one person's expensive is another person's cheap and so forth, so this one's kind of hard to gauge. But for me, the ramp I'm showing you here cost me $45 to build. And I think that's pretty reasonable for a jump ramp that's going to last you years and give you a lot of fun. So the next criteria you'll be talking about is the size of your ramp. And this, depends on how high you want to launch it and send it, as well as what you can fit in a car if you're going to be portable. But probably the biggest criteria is the width of the ramp and how good a driver you are and how consistently you can hit the center of the ramp. When you don't, bad things can happen. So you want a ramp that's wide enough that you can hit it consistently, and that's going to depend a little bit on your vehicle as well. If you're driving an 8S versus a 2S 1/10 scale, you're going to have different size ramps, and so everybody's ramp size is going to be different. You'll have to consider that. But anything less than 2 feet is hard for anybody to hit. I think 3 to 4 feet is a comfort range for a width on a ramp. Portability is your next consideration with a ramp, and that has to do with where you're going to store it, are you going to put it in your car, etc., etc. But also, weight is a huge criteria here, and for me, anything that you can't lift with one arm and 2 fingers really easily is not exactly portable. You want something light enough weight you can just sling it around, put it in the back of your car, carry it to the site, hang it on the wall, do whatever you need to do. So the last criteria is durability. You need something that can take 8S cars, 6S cars hitting the ramp at 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, and not losing their shape and being able to take it, especially on off-center hits like that one. And you also just want the thing to hold up year after year, so you don't have to build a new ramp every 2 years or so. This ramp here has lasted me almost 4 years now, and I've beat it up pretty good, as you can see. So despite its lightweight and its cheap cost, this is a very durable ramp. Alright, so you've bought a wicked cool RC car, you want to bash it, you want to jump it, you want to build yourself a ramp. So let's talk about what you'll need first to build it, and then we'll show you how to build it. So the first material you're going to need is a 1/4 inch by 2 foot by 4 foot Luan board, particle board. This is what's going to create your side supports. Even though it's thin, you're going to be using this in height, so in the structural direction it's going to be plenty strong. You're going to form this into the shape of the curve of your ramp and cut it with a jigsaw. Next thing is you'll need a couple of 1x2, probably 8-foot strips are good, just to create the inner. So you're going to connect the 2 side bars that you're going to create in the shape of your ramp. You're going to stretch these 1x2s across and form the structure to support the actual ramp surface itself. These 1x2s generally run about $2 a piece. And for the surface itself, I picked this 4 by 1/4 particle board. It's got a sort of a redwood finish to it. These are $16 a board. One of the keys is they are very flexible, and you'll want that because you're going to lay this into your structure and just allow it to kind of bend and conform to this parabolic shape you've created for your ramp. And last, you'll need a series of flathead screws in order to screw this ramp down, the ramp board down, as well as screw your support legs across from each side section. Okay, so let's talk about the steps for creating your ramp. So the first thing you want to do is identify what ratio you are going to use and scribe that onto the board with a pencil or an etch or a chalk or whatever. And you can use whatever ratio you like, but generally a 2-to-1 ratio in length to height is the ideal ratio. So you can use the 2x4, that's a big ramp, so I'm just showing you if you want to shrink that down. This is going to be a 1'6" by 3' ramp. Next thing you'll want to do is pick your launch angle and get a triangle or whatever you can to create that angle so that you can etch the launch angle from the top point of your overall ramp structure. So here I'm going to use a 45-degree angle because that's a pretty good launch for both height and distance. And we're going to transcribe a 45-degree angle up at the top. When you've got that angle established, you'll take a 2x4 or a 1x2 that you've got or whatever, and you'll want to affix that board on that launch angle so that you've got kind of a setting block. After you've got your setting block, you want to lay a dowel or a flexible ruler or something straight that you can bend pretty easily and put it against the ground, put it against that block, and then push it down and flex it into place so that it rests on the block and is pinned at the bottom and creates this parabolic curve, which is the ideal way to get your car to launch. And the top half will hold the launch angle that you've created by your setting block. Alright, once you've traced that parabolic curve onto the board that's going to become the sidewall of your ramp, you simply then just cut that out with a jigsaw or whatever tool you may have, and that creates your first sidewall. Your second one is much easier. You just take the one you just created, put it on the remainder of your board that you have left, trace it out, and cut out your second sidewall. Next step, you want to create the basic frame for your ramp using your 1x2 board. So you'll cut those to the width of the ramp that you want, put them between your two parabolic sidewalls, and screw them in with 2 screws per board. Okay, after you've built the main structure of your ramp, you want to infill the inner surface with supports to support your actual ramp surface. You'll be using the remainder of your 1x2s to do this. You can use as many as you like, but the key is you want to try and follow that parabolic curve and keep these perpendicular to the ramp surface. Again, you'll want to use 2 screws here for each support in order to keep those supports from rotating, and so they can have enough strength to support the vehicle as it hits the ramp. And the final step is just putting your actual ramp surface down. So you'll take your 1/4 inch flexible board, drop it on top of the frame you've created, and screw it down. The key to this step is to get your screws sunk below the surface of the ramp so that they don't have any head that can come up and catch your car, damage your tires as you're hitting the ramp. I also recommend keeping the screws only on the perimeter. So hopefully if you're a good enough driver, you're hitting the center of your ramp mostly, and that'll keep any screws from popping up and damaging the bottom of your car. You'll also notice that I've left that top surface, the ramp surface, down at the bottom. I've left that a little long past the structure of the ramp itself in order to create kind of a flexible skirt that allows that to lay as flat as possible so that the approach of your vehicle to the ramp can be as smooth as possible and can sort of conform to the land and the conditions of where you place your ramp. do recommend that on occasion you store your ramp upside down in order to put pressure on that bottom skirt, kind of inverting the parabolic curve and keeping it flat against the surface you're going to put the ramp on. Especially if you get the ramp wet, it'll tend to want to warp up a little bit. So storing it upside down will keep it flattened out and keep it flush to this ground surface for launching. You'll also notice that I've added one center support or kicker that's taking from the center of the ramp and transferring weight directly to the ground into a lateral cross brace. That's just for heavier cars. When you're hitting these ramps really hard, that center can sag just a little bit, and having a little extra brace and support is pretty helpful. Okay, and there you go. You've built your ramp. It's super lightweight. It's portable. It only cost you $45. It's strong, it's durable, and with 2 hooks on the wall, you can just hang it up and store it and have it ready for your next bashing session. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you can build a ramp and launch your car. Hope you don't break it too much, but that's part of bashing, and hope you have some fun.